Welcome to this featured session at Limeade Engage 2021. One of the major lessons for all of us in 2020 was the importance of well-being. It's not a nice to have, it's critical for quality of life and the success of our organizations. At Limeade, our commitment to well-being is only strengthened with each piece of research we do or see, because well-being continues to show up as critical to the success of our people and our businesses as a whole. We want to elevate and integrate well-being into the everyday experiences employees have at work. I am so excited for you to meet Taylor, Tyler, and Padmashree. They are building the future of well-being at work. And once you hear from them, I think you'll agree with me that it's quite a bright future. So Taylor, do you want to hear something absolutely insane? You and I have never met in person. I feel like you've been at Limeade for years. You're doing such an incredible job. I don't want to take one more second, so the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Lindsay. Another funny thing is that we've never seen each other standing.
Very true.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our solution showcase, Doubling Down on Wellbeing. My name is Taylor Blessing. I am the product marketing manager here at Limeade. I focus on our well-being solution. I'm joined today by Padmashree Canetti, our VP of product, and senior product manager here, Tyler Carter. Hi, team. I am so excited to be here to join my fellow Limeates today, dedicating this time to our well-being solution. I'll be taking you through our newest research, which focuses on key insights that will help you build a stronger well-being program for your employees. We'll discuss what activates a positive mindset in individuals. And spoiler alert, it also very much benefits their well-being and productivity. My friend Tyler will then take us through best practices that you can take with you and use today to really maximize your programs. And last, but certainly not least, Padmashree will close our session discussing the product roadmap so that you know where her team is focused this year as they continue to innovate and enhance the well-being experience for your users. I believe she also has some pretty awesome news to share around content, but more on that later. Okay, let's begin with a snapshot of the year that was. 2020 was a year that we all not only lived through, we survived. The uncertainty of what felt like endless changes to our normal. Our well-being was tested. Our physical activity was reduced by 32% because of COVID restriction. Only 14% of employees heard their leaders discuss the importance of mental health. Now, it's no surprise that people have struggled. I mean, what about you? Do you see yourself, your team, maybe even your whole organization in any of these stats you see on your screen? Now, if you'd allow it, I would love to encourage everyone to leverage the chat box on your screen. Share how you've been impacted by 2020. If you aren't seeing a chat box, try clicking on the Team Chat tab on the bottom of your console, and it should pop up. So I will get us started. I know for me, the feeling of isolation was consistent, especially for the first half of 2020. I, like everyone, no longer had that opportunity to meet a friend or a colleague for coffee, or maybe even just mustering up the energy to schedule one of those social virtual happy hours. It was hard to come by. Luckily, though, one data point that did bring me some hope was that 80% of organizations identify well-being as critical to business success in 2021. Not just important, but critical. And I think all of us can agree that well-being is more essential than ever. What's also essential is that we integrate our well-being programs into the flow of work to be centralized to an employee's work life. These statistics and more tells us that programs centered around well-being can no longer be ran adjacent to the employee experience, but rather at the heart of it. And now that we're in 2021, it's no surprise that this year continues to bring us challenges. And obviously, we cannot stop these disruptive issues that happen in the world. But what we can do is equip and empower employees through care to be better prepared to take them on. And the newest Limeade research findings prove that it's a powerful mindset being the activator that we need to take on these tough issues. And full disclosure before we dive in, there is a ton behind this research. Today, we'll just cover a small snapshot of the findings and throughout the rest of the session to better understand how we at Limeade infuse science into our solutions. I highly, highly encourage you to check out the full study where we have it stored in the resource center of your session console. Okay, let's dive in. So here we have a look at key activators, also known as mindsets, and the impact that each has on an organization's 3 ideal outcomes: overall well-being, high rates of productivity, and low stress. I mean, it sounds like it's the dream. The gradients in color represents each activator's measured impact. This study found that activators account for 40% of the variance of each outcome. So nearly half of our well-being relies on having high self-efficacy and being open and optimistic. Then being productive relies the most on having a strong sense of purpose and also being open and optimistic. And for lower stress, we rely on our ability to regulate our emotions and find resilience. But what does this all mean? I'm sure you're asking yourselves. How can you leverage this exact data towards a more impactful well-being strategy? And I think part of that answer requires us to look at well-being just a bit differently. It's really important for all of us to remember that each of these mindsets rolls up into each and every one of us. They represent our whole person. The impact of each individual mindset may be slightly larger or smaller depending on the other, but the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and all play a role in our overall well-being. Now, you, just like myself, might have noticed these buzzwords last year. Phrases popping up in a lot of content around ways to deal with 2020. There was a lot of emphasis put on ways to be resilient and adaptable, for example. But what this research tells us is that being hyper-focused on one activator versus another could actually result in an imbalanced approach and not truly caring for that whole person. And then when we layer on workplace culture and organizational support, the impact is substantial. Employees have a higher sense of well-being, they work more productively, and feel less stressed, which provides a fully balanced employee experience, and it puts well-being at the heart of it all. And as we all continue to move forward from what was a year that tested us, I hope you can find comfort in the fact that the Limeade well-being experience is that refreshing approach to let every employee know that their company cares for them. By putting your culture and your people at the heart of that experience really helps to deliver ongoing results for your organization. Now, with all that said, how can you leverage these insights and the power of a Limeade program? I think my friend Tyler can help answer that. Tyler, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Taylor. It's really great stuff. How an individual can take proactive steps to improve their whole person well-being, but without organizational support, that their stress and productivity could still suffer, and how organizations in today's world can no longer focus on just one activator, and how all of these activators are related to one another. So what I get to talk to you about today, and what I'm excited to talk to you with you about today, is some of the stuff that we've done with the product in terms of 2020 based off this research, and then also kind of bring it full circle with some customer examples of how this has come to life and the success that they've seen. So without further ado, let's get started. And I want to start with just kind of grounding ourselves. We got a slide issue there. Grounding ourselves and kind of just an overview of the product and some of the components. So that way, as I walk through this, we're all understanding where we're at. We're talking about the same thing. So the first thing I want to talk about is just activities. So activities are things that individuals can do to improve their whole person well-being. Some of the things that we've added in 2020 is really course-based content, and Padmasree will talk about that a little bit later when she gets to the roadmap portion. And then moving on and looking at rewards and recognition. What we're talking about with rewards and recognition is both extrinsic motivation, rewards, and then also intrinsic, though, is recognition, right? And some of the things that we've done in 2020 is we realized that You don't work on a project with just one other person. Often you work with a team, or a manager wants to recognize their team. And so we've added some capabilities to recognize groups of people in 2020. And then when we look at employee listening, if you remember, Taylor spoke about stress, and we're all people, right? Everyone was affected by what happened in 2020 in the pandemic. And these listening tools allow you to kind of pinpoint what matters most. And so they're much more than just a well-being assessment. We've added pulses, surveys, and much more, but allowing you to really pinpoint what matters most. I'll touch on this with an example a little bit later when I talk about managers and leaders and how you can use listening tools. But for now, let's just keep in mind that they're much more, and they really allow you to pinpoint what matters. When I talk about integrations are personally my favorite. And it's because I'm forgetful. So integrations allow me to forget the vendor, forget the website, forget the username and password, and just remember, I got to go to LimeMade to find what I need. And what integrations do is they really reduce and eliminate the barriers to entry to access that available employee resource. And so what I mean by that is I don't have to remember to go to this website and use this URL to view my paycheck. I know I can just simply go to LimeMade and that information's there. By reducing the barrier, you increase the utilization of resources. I'm going to touch on this a little bit more in depth with a customer example, and you'll see how it comes to life. So we'll touch on that in a little bit. And then moving on and looking at updates, right? Updates are where the magic happens. And I'm going to, again, the customer examples here at the end, we're going to bring this full circle, but updates allow you to communicate timely and relevant information to your employees. And this shows up in the feed. This is a homepage. This is where they can consume and you can reach all of your employees. None of this would really matter, right, if we didn't have reporting and insights and actionable things to do. So all of that is rolls up into reports and things that you can actually do to take action with. And that's how we close the loop with some of these core components. So that's a lot to do. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a drink of coffee. And when I do that, I want you to first think of, when I say the words social connection, I want you to just think, what is that? What pops in your head? What are those things you think about when I say social connection? I need new coffee. That's a little cold. But for me, what popped in my head immediately was like coffee. I was like, social connection for me is that's the person that drinks coffee at the same schedule as I do, right? At 9 o'clock, at 9:15, at 9:30, and so on until we get to 12, and we shift to water. And that's constrained, right? That's constrained by my physical work environment. Maybe some of you thought of the people or the offices that you walk by every day and you just say hi, as that's your social connection. Again, these are constrained. And so some of the things that you can do to help build a sense of community, help bring your culture and support your culture, is you can actually now start promoting activities that encourage recognition and connection within the program itself. And so what you're looking at here on this screen is you're looking at the top are my activities. And off to the right, you can see it's kind of cut off a little bit, but cheer someone on. That activity is actually encouraging and rewarding an individual for recognizing a peer or a colleague. Those types of activities really help build those connections and support that culture. And so some of the other things that you could do is you could maybe target a manager with host a virtual lunch or host a virtual dinner type of activity to encourage them to reach out to their teams, to build a sense of community, to reach out during this time where we're primarily online and help try and reach and build those social connections. And again, some of that stuff is still, contained to people that you work with. And so to break out and to continue to look and build social connections, maybe outside of those people that you work with every day, one thing that you can do is then promote employee resource groups. For me personally at LimeMade, I've got a young daughter, another one on the way, and the employee resource group, Working Parents, I've built connections there with folks that I never interact with, people that I never talk to, I never see in the office when we were in the office. And those types of connections don't happen. But with finding out about this employee resource group through the LimeMade product, I was able to join that employee resource group and build those social connections. Really powerful stuff. And then lastly is, you've all probably seen and met these people. It's not a title, it's not anything like that, but somebody that walks in a room and just has a presence, just is charismatic for whatever reason, people are drawn to them. Those are natural leaders. And to help create connections, to help bring your culture to life, you need to empower those natural leaders, whoever they are. And so leveraging updates and some of the capabilities that you have, you can actually go out and reach and be proactive and ask those natural leaders to self-select. They're going to be very effective at helping create connections and improve and drive some of that culture and recommend ideas to you and others. Really powerful things. And this stat at the bottom, I don't have to read this, but 70% of employees indicate that their team and peers are important in supporting their well-being. So all of this social connection, all these teams and peers, and that interaction, and recognition, and that connection, that matters. It really contributes to that whole person well-being approach. So moving on to managers and leaders, words matter. And when they come from your manager or leader, they matter a little bit more, right? And because of that, it's important that you engage and really, really connect with your managers and leaders. And some of the ways that you can do that is simply empower your managers. So we have some capabilities where you can empower your managers to actually talk through the LimeMade product directly to their teams and only their teams. And this empowers your managers to make book recommendations, to recommend articles, to talk about things that maybe are happening in a very local environment and hyper-focused for them. And maybe you're sitting there thinking, well, Tyler, that's great, but I don't know what they need. If you remember back when I was talking about listening tools and how they enable you to pinpoint what matters most, is you can actually now create a survey and ask your managers and target your managers and simply say, what do you need to be successful? And then based off those results, take action and be proactive and add those tools and resources or add those activities to your program to support your managers. Now, leaders are really important, right? And some of the ways that you can get leaders to buy in is ask them to record a post or video, right? Or maybe even just write a post. But write it about the role that managers play and the importance that they play in supporting the employee's whole person well-being and the importance of the program to the company and the organization as a whole. And then target that to your managers. So if you get leaders to buy in, then you get your managers to buy in, and your employees are buying in as well, and you've got some natural leaders down there at the employee level, you've got two kind of both really focused, kind of energies going towards supporting that whole person well-being and driving program participation and creating social connections and really, really bringing this thing to life in full circle. And I'll talk about, and I'll highlight with the use case what this looks like. And it's critical because nearly all employees are saying that their managers matter the most for their well-being support work. So it's critical that you get your managers and leaders to buy in with some of these ideas. All of this is flexible because of flexible technology, right? All of this is possible, because of flexible technology. If you remember when I was talking about integrations and I was talking about the barrier, right? Like, I got to remember the website, my username, my password, and help me if I've got to remember more than one because I'm going to forget. So what flexible technology does is this allows you to bring everything in to one area. So I can forget that, and it's reducing the barrier for me to access and leverage the resource that you've invested in as an organization. And so by consolidating and breaking down those silos that exist between those resources, employees can find what they need when they need it. You can drive timely utilization through updates and events, and then highlight those company initiatives and share those supporting resources. So let me give you an example of kind of how these three things kind of interrelate. So let's say flu shot, that's perfect. Flu shots are seasonal. A lot of companies offer flu shots for free. They host places for their employees to go to get the flu shot. So what you can do with LimeMade is you can actually, communicate out. Here's where our flu shot locations are. Those information, that's always available. You can promote that through the feed. Leveraging some of our events, you can actually, enable employees to actually sign up to receive their flu shot. And all of this is contributing to, your company initiative of really getting people to, in this case, in this example, of get the flu shot. So it's really powerful. And this use case is specifically what I'm going to highlight next. And it's critical, and it really drives registration. All right, that's a lot. So take a second, drink some water. I'm going to drink a cup of coffee, and we're going to next dive into customer use cases and connecting the dots. So, got a blank screen. There we go. Perfect. Taylor, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see it? Perfect. Before I get into this, let me just first say Ryan LLC, huge thank you. They were gracious enough to allow us to use them, their use cases and best practices for you all today and walk through some use cases. So super excited. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And the second housekeeping thing is, as I go through this stuff, don't forget your strategic account executives, your SAEs are always here. We're always looking at other customers, at best use cases, and bringing back and strategizing with you and working with you to help bring your program to life, kind of focused on your culture and what matters to you. So let's start. On-site to online. Okay, 2020 was not unique to Ryan and some of the challenges they faced. We all felt this, right? We had a pandemic and we all had to stop working from our physical locations. Ryan actually has an event called Ryan Shares Day, and this is a global day for them, and it's really important. It's a company initiative for them to make donations and to volunteer in their local community. And obviously with the pandemic, that couldn't happen. So they had to shift, and here's what they did. So leveraging our scheduling tool, the first thing that they did is they promoted out the change in event structure, that it is no longer on site, it is now online, and additional details about that new change. And then in addition, they added supporting posts and they scheduled these out. And so posts around ways to donate or ways to volunteer, ideas. If you think back when I was talking about integrations, and I was talking about how each, like the URL or the website I have to remember, or the username and password I have to remember, those are additional steps or barriers for me to access that resource. If you think about volunteering, if I was to tell you, go volunteer, what's the first question in your mind? Is probably like, where, right? So by supplementing not only the change in event structure, but also, offering ideas of how to volunteer, where to donate, you're reducing the barrier to entry for your employees to participate. And what's really cool is as employees start to participate, you start to see other employees participate. And other employees are now intrinsically rewarded when they log in and they see their coworkers, their colleagues, their peers participating. That is a rewarding thing. That is something that feels good. That is an intrinsic motivator to participate. And so what you were looking at, that first individual that posted was out of the office in India, and the second individual was out of an office in Kansas. There is no coffee machine between India and Kansas. But through Limeade, they were able to create a unique social connection, all tied up towards that company initiative for Ryan LLC. It was really powerful. It was really successful. They had 21% increase in monthly active users for that month than they had the month before. And it was a tremendous amount of success. And so they decided to keep that momentum rolling into open enrollment. If you remember when I was talking about the feed and updates and communications and how they can be timely and relevant and how that drives and helps, promote some of those resources and important information. So Ryan then looked at open enrollment and knew that traditional webinars are long, right? And not necessarily replacing the webinar altogether. They still, host that, but supplement that again with topic-specific content. So, for example, let's say HSA. You could create a video or write a post that was specific to HSA, and you could do this for lots of other things that are involved or related to open enrollment. Leveraging, again, Limeade and scheduling those out, you can actually schedule out, 3 to 4 posts a week or 1 post a week for a month, and just continue to highlight information that's important about open enrollments. And then you, on the back end, what you can do is actually monitor and see what are employees actually looking at, right? What are those topics that they maybe have questions about that they're engaging with? Because that tells you what information you should then proactively provide. So if there's a lot of questions on HSA, you could maybe even, leveraging our listening tools, ask them, should we have a dedicated session around HSAs? And based on the response, maybe you have a 30-minute webinar focused on HSAs because the data is telling you that. And it's really powerful. And in the end, what ends up happening is you can see these posts, right? So this one, this example here on the screen is culture booster shot, mental health awareness, compassion. That is the topic of this post. But what's really cool about this post actually links directly to the benefits hub, or where Ryan stores all of their benefits resources. When I was talking about driving utilization of available employee resources through the feed, right, reducing that barrier to entry, providing timely and relevant information, and ultimately, tying up towards company initiatives and things that matter, this is how it came to life. This is how it comes to life. And this is very, very successful. And it attributes and it shows up in sustained participation. And so you can see Ryan's actually averaged 20% higher MAU every single month this year than they had in the previous year. This is sustained success is because employees find value within the program, and this value, it creates intrinsic motivation, because now I know where to go to find the information that I care about. It's a really powerful way to support whole person well-being in a way that's rich and it's deep and it's interactive. Now I get past Mike to our VP of Product, Padmasree, who's going to talk about 2021 and some of those investment areas that we're looking at for our roadmap. Padmasree?
Gosh, thank you, Tyler. Great job. Excellent job, Taylor, as well. Hello, everybody. My name is Padmasree Kennedy. I'm the VP of Product here at Limeade. This is my first Limeade Engage. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you all for joining us. I'm going to tell us a little bit about our focus areas this year in 2021, and I'm super excited about it. Before we get into it, though, I want to take a quick step back. Every single product decision that folks on my team make are based on a few science-based, care-focused principles that have evolved over the evolution of Limeade itself, which we all hold to be true. As an example, we believe that a focus on whole person well-being is critical to making sure that there is focus on the individual as well as focus on the collective. For example, we believe that a human-centric product experience needs to be one that is simple, flexible, and allows for user choice. For example, we also believe that organizational support is key in order to demonstrate care, but that technology can help. So hopefully with the product capabilities that you see on the platform today, as well as the things that we've planned in the coming year, you will see some of those product principles come to life. With that, let's get started. We have three big focus areas in 2021 for the product roadmap. First, a consumer-grade experience. Our users, your employees, are at the very center of everything that we do. And we're constantly innovating on that front-end experience to make sure that it's an experience that renders users to be able to return to the platform on a regular basis, that they're able to focus on their well-being journey, that they're able to stay connected with the mission of your organization, stay connected with their community, etc. So we have a lot of cool things planned on that front. I'll talk about it in just a second. Second, platform. At the very foundation of everything that we build is a customizable, configurable platform upon which a lot of these really unique employee experiences can come to life for you all. We're doing a ton of innovation on that front as well. We'll talk about that as well. And third, insights and reporting. Whether it is more data to make better decisions inside the product team, or it is more insights and more reports and more dashboards to enable you all, as well as our customer success organizations, we're doing some innovation and some plans on that front this year. Let's take a look into each one of these themes. As I mentioned, that consumer-grade experience is something that we're constantly innovating upon and something that we care deeply about. Let's look at a few of the features that we plan to focus on this year. First, user motivation on the journey. There are many different features and capabilities that exist in the platform today to draw a user back into the experience. We want to continue to innovate on that even further this year with nudges, better notifications, and more. Second, as the future of work and this whole hybrid nature of coming back to work comes to life, we want to make sure that there's a consistent look and feel across the various platforms, desktop and mobile. So whether it happens to be a deskless worker or someone who is attached to their desks, they're able to focus upon a program experience that is unique for them. Next, discovering the right content. We've got a tremendous amount of capabilities today already with machine learning and such to recommend content to the users at the right time. We want to further push the innovation envelope on that front and make sure that we are improving our recommendations as well as we're giving users a find to discover and look for and find what they're looking for. Next, content experience features. I got to tell you, whether it's finding the right moment for the mindfulness practice or to go take a walk when the air is fresh. It's so important for us to all be able to weave in that well-being into our day-to-day work practices, and content experience And technology can truly help with that by making sure that it's really intuitive and delivers that content at the right time at the right place. And then finally, end user insights. Even today, we've got abilities for you to know exactly where you are on your well-being journey and what happens to come next. We want to improve that even more by giving visual cues and insights so that users are able to say, oh, this is where I am in my journey. This is what needs to happen next. So we hope that with the set of capabilities that are listed here and many more, you are able to drive even more the program participation that you want to see. And heck, at the end of the day, better well-being for all of your employees. Before we go into the platform theme, I want to talk about my favorite topic, content. Quick side story here. One of the favorite meetings I look forward to at the end of every week is my one-on-one with my boss, Henry. It's usually a walking one-on-one. So we will both put our shoes on. He's over there in Bellevue. I'm over here in Portland. Come rain or shine, we will step out of the house and we will talk about Limeade, ourselves, life, the product. And one of our favorite topics is content. As the world comes to terms with and starts to figure out what return to work and what normal even looks like in 2021, emotional well-being still continues to be an extremely important thing that we need to think about on behalf of all of our employees. We've also been listening to you all who've been saying that you need to see more and more content on the platform. We're so excited to announce that starting this month, right now as we speak, we're adding 60 new course-based modules to provide a true learning experience inside the product, and we will be adding a steady stream of content over the course of the year. First of all, focus on emotional well-being. We're making sure that there's additional content on that front. Then on COVID-19, vaccination, any new information that becomes available that would be useful to all of our users. We're also looking at aspects of workplace well-being. How do you make sure that there are enough resources for your managers and your leaders to promote diversity, to create an inclusive work environment, to reduce stress and anxiety as well. And then, other aspects of content that we'll be weaving in over the course of the year will be around a remote employee experience. And then finally, to serve the needs of our vastly expanding global user base, we'll be looking at more and more relevant content that serves them in the region and locale of their choice. Exciting, isn't it? I do hope that you're able to work with your SAEs and figure out when and how you can bring some of this content into your own programs in the coming weeks. Now let's talk about platform. As I mentioned earlier, that scalable, customizable SaaS platform upon which all of your programs can come to life in a truly unique manner is something that we consider as part of our core foundation and something that we're looking to constantly add to. Some of the key priorities on this front are the following. First, security, identity, and data privacy. We will be always looking at improving our security standards and implementing the latest practices. We'll be further adding on that front this year. Next, we're looking to implement Auth0 as an identity provider. So not only will this make our authentication seamless and secure, it will also create a great user experience so that different users are able to get onto the platform and get to their programs in a seamless manner in a way that works best for them with a lot of convenience. Next, support for our global users. Our current classic platform is already globalized, as is our desktop on Limeade One. We're further going to be expanding that capability of localization and creating truly localized experiences on the mobile app ecosystem as well this year, so that that larger group of users around the world can have that, unique access to their experience as well as to content, etc. In addition, a lot of our customers have told us that whether it's the US customers or the European customers, the ability to have choice on where their data is stored, their user data is stored, is something that's extremely important to customers. We're going to be adding some infrastructure work on that front. And then overall, just the overall globalization of the platform itself. Next, accessibility. Again, on Limeade Classic, we've already got the platform accessible as is Limeade One on the desktop. We want to extend that to the mobile app ecosystem. Why? Because it's a true commitment of ours that regardless of ability, all users should have access to the platform, and we will be adding those capabilities. And then going forward, thanks to the innovation on the front end, every single experience that we ever design will always be accessible from the get-go. Next, data integrations. You all, our customers, have told us that there are a variety of different partners that you use for your overall benefits plans, and you want to see all of those come to life in a single experience. We have many ways to do that today and address use cases today on the Limeade One platform. And once Auth0 implementation is in place, we will be looking to add more use cases and more partner integrations on that front so that you can truly see that program come to life. And then as with any platform, speed, scalability, performance improvements are things that we're constantly worried about, particularly with that global user base. And then finally, on the program automation front, this probably deserves a category of its own. Thinking about ways in which you can truly optimize the program, whether it's you on your end, you want the ability to increase activity content or make other fine-tuned modifications to your program, or it is the folks on the Limeade end who are supporting you, we want to provide more automation tooling. Exciting stuff, isn't it? And then the last theme, insights and reporting. Driving actions through insight is something that I personally believe is a true game changer, because you have to measure what matters, right? If you're trying to optimize the user experience, you've got to know exactly where in that flow that the user is getting dropped off or is not finding and having the most optimal experience. So some of the priority areas in this theme include end-to-end product instrumentation. At every step of the journey, I want to know exactly how users are participating, exactly what the admin experience is like, and what we can do to improve it. Self-serve reporting. You've been asking us for more and more types of reporting. We will constantly continue to innovate on this front so that you can have more of that optimization data at your fingertips. And for our managers and leaders, more ways to slice and dice some of our engagement and inclusion reporting so that you can have some intelligent ways to look at what your organization is telling you and what sort of an experience that they're having. Well, more manager reporting as well, more resources to help managers who are that first line of defense when it comes to demonstrating care inside your organization. And then finally, we want to integrate some of our insights and reporting work along with some of our machine learning recommendations to be able to see and give you some insights. Hey, how did you notice that in the last month, your participation changed in this way? Here are some benchmarks that you can be looking at. Here's some insights for what you can do about it. So we're pretty excited about some of that work as well. Again, at the end of the day, to help you all create a great experience for all of your employees. Wow, so we've hit you with a lot of stuff. Just to summarize some of those key takeaways, you heard from Taylor, who talked about the Activator research and the role organizational support can play on mental health and well-being. We've got a stack of resources available for you on that front. Best practices, you heard from Tyler in terms of how you can use the program and how different customers have actually leveraged some of our best practices to create a sense of community, to bring culture, to bring that well-being to life in a truly material way, and how technology can help. And finally, you heard from me in terms of some of the capabilities we're planning, the innovation we're planning to have in the platform this year, so that, you know, whether it's along the lines of the consumer grade experience, or it's along the lines of the platform or the insights and reporting, in addition to all the amazing content that we plan to roll out, that you're able to take some of those capabilities and bring them to life in your program. I truly hope this was a valuable and useful session for all of you. I'm so excited for what else you're going to see out there today in Engage. Good luck at the next session, and thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful day.